First story. My brother cut ties with me and our family after I cheated with his girlfriend, who got pregnant and married her with my parents' support. It's been 10 years, and he has rebuilt his life, married someone but didn't invite us, and has more kids than me, but refuses to reconcile. Now, my mom says she regrets choosing my side and blames me for dividing the family. This is long. When I was in my mid-20s, my younger brother, Ezra 19, went away to an out-of-state school. I just finished my own stay at my university, so I went back home to find an apartment close to family. Ezra's girlfriend, Melanie 19, also stayed behind to study at a local college. She and I would hang out once in a while. I didn't realize at first that I was playing with fire by doing this. Melanie and I got closer. We would go to the movies, grab a bite, and hang out at family dinners. Ez couldn't be there, but my dad would extend invites to Melanie, whom Ez dated all throughout high school. They planned to be married after school, so she was family. My dad also remarried, so we were trying to build new bonds with his new wife and her kids, one of whom was close in age to Melanie. I guess things began to get messy with my dad's new wife, who began to comment that I looked better with Melanie. I had a stable job and was ready to start my life and settle down. Melanie was offended at first, but as we grew closer, she began to also make similar comments. Ez would come down for the summer or some weekends, where they would still sleep together and function like a couple. When he would leave, she would be with me. Things got physical one night after I reacted jealously to her and Ez snuggling up. It was the turning point that I'd been waiting for. I know now I was wrong, and I'm not proud of any of this. My dad and his wife were at odds over our relationship. My dad was actually furious with me and demanded we stop. Melanie was disinvited from family dinners, and my dad reached out to my mom to inform her about us. My dad's wife had the opposite opinion. I have another sibling, 6 in total, all brothers, Aaron, who suspected something was off. Things came to a head when Aaron took Ez aside during a visit to let him know what he learned from who knows where. Aaron has always had it out for me, or so I believe, a story for another day. But what happened after setting my whole life in motion in the direction it's been for the last decade? It's been just over 10 years since Ezra discovered what we had done and set the whole family on fire. He had a go at our parents and my dad's wife for their involvement and their silence, and then he just left. It took a while, maybe a few months, 8, but he left, and I have yet to ever see him again. During those 8 months, I was not a kind person. After Melanie was embarrassed and mistreated by Ez for cheating, I immediately took her in, and we became official. Our family disapproved for a while, but eventually they came around. She fell pregnant, and I proposed. Her parents and my parents learned of this and agreed that it was best for the baby that we married, so they paid for everything. It was a humble wedding, but my family pulled through for me and showed up. During this time, Aaron continued to lecture my parents about their involvement with our relationship and the abandonment of Ezra. I understand that he was in pain and needed them. I did, too. I was becoming a new father and husband. I was looking into buying my first home, starting my first big job, and planning a wedding. I didn't expect Ezra to suck it up, but they are my parents too. My parents were preoccupied with us, so much so that Ezra moved a few towns over, and we didn't notice until a month or so. We used to see him around town, where he worked, but we noticed we stopped seeing him. I reached out only to find his number had changed. Aaron was no help, just criticisms and warnings about Ezra's well-being. No kind words for me, Melanie, or our child, though. I lost 2 brothers in actuality. Eventually, our wedding grew closer, and the invitations were sent out. There was no response from Ez and Aaron, which I expected, so I asked my mom to verify with them. I understood if the answer was no. What we found was that they were completely gone. Aaron had a long-time girlfriend who said no to our wedding and clammed up about where my brothers went off to. One aunt, the one who would often echo Aaron's comments and skip out on my wedding, let us know that they were safe and that we needed to move on. So that was that. It's sad to say I haven't seen them in 10 years. My parents were obviously distraught and regretful. It put a huge damper on our wedding and the birth of my child. We thought about combining their names as a middle name for my son, but ultimately decided no. They would likely never meet my kid, so there is no need to confuse him. However, watching my parents break down whenever family would get together took its toll. Anyone who knew where they were did not say. It remains a gray cloud over our lives to this day. I thought we had moved on by the time Mel and I had another kid. My parents seemed happy to be with me and my remaining brothers, and they saw that Mel and I were serious about our relationship, an ideal match. Soon enough, though, my mom decided to voice her regrets to me and Melanie personally. When she first found out about our relationship, she was staunchly against us, but came around when Mel fell pregnant. Now she knows that she made a mistake and lost 2 sons. Her relationship with Mel has suffered greatly. My dad's family is much more welcoming to Mel. She's one of their own. My dad does miss his sons, but he also loves his grandkids. He was content with this for a long time until my mom went ahead and located Aaron and Ezra. It hurt to feel that she would prefer to have held on to them and lost me and my sons in the process. She found that they were both married. Aaron to his longtime girlfriend, who eventually moved away years ago, and Ezra to an unknown woman. Both have a good number of children, more than I have, in fact. My mother got some therapy, reached out to my brothers, and has made contact with Ez. Aaron declined to reconcile, so she's been in contact with him for a year, even going as far as taking my youngest brothers with her to spend Christmas with Ez and his family. I've seen pictures of his sons, daughters, and wife too. I thought to keep a lot of this from my dad, but I come from a gossipy family, so I did show him what I found on my mom's Facebook before they could. My dad was overcome again, as if the wound were freshly exposed again. He felt he missed a lot and couldn't bear it. He looked at the images for a long time and eventually called my mom, and they spoke for hours. So I sit here with fractured relationships everywhere. My mom does not approve of me and my family. Mel and my mom do not speak. My dad is heartbroken. Ezra and Aaron took off and built a life with their own families. From the pictures, it seems they are still close, and though Aaron does not speak to our mother, his wife and kids do. The rest of my siblings are young men, just coming into their own. I love them so much, but I can't relate to them like I relate to my brothers, who are closer in age. It's been years since I've had to deal with what my actions have caused. My wife is beginning to get insecure about my feelings for her. She wonders if I regret her and the kids. I want to fix this. I failed to fix it before, but I need to now. I don't know how to repair it, though. How can I make amends for a marriage and life I don't regret? TLDR. I cheated with and married my brother's girlfriend. My 2 brothers rebelled and became estranged after we announced our engagement. It's been 10 years, and my parents are still hurt that they cut off the whole family. My mom has made contact with one brother, and my dad is now aware of how much he's missed out on. I would like to fix this. In the comments. Deleted. 1. It's not fair for you to say Ezra mistreated Mel after the cheating. She cheated, he has a right to be pissed. 2. You said Ezra blew up the family. That's got to stop. You know he didn't. You and Mel did. 3. Truth be told, you are still acting like a victim. I honestly can't see how you don't understand that it's completely reasonable that Aaron and Ezra didn't come to your wedding. 4. What do you mean things got physical right before you got with Mel? 5. It's completely understandable why your mother doesn't like Mel. She broke her son's heart, cheated on him, left him for his brother you, and broke up the family. 6. Your feelings of hurt are valid, but you cannot expect your mother to not have reached out to your brothers. That is selfish and unfair. 7. Why would you lose your sons? 8. Who do you want to apologize to? 9. Please stop using your sons as excuses in all of this. 10. Why are you saying your brothers rebelled and left the family? You rebelled by getting your brother's girlfriend pregnant. Really evaluate your word choice. In your whole post, you're deflecting responsibility. If the family fell apart, it was your brother's fault. If your mother was sad about losing contact with her other sons, it was hurtful to you. Everything is about you in the paragraph. You don't seem to care at all about Ezra. Do you see how that comes off? OP. That's fair. I know I made mistakes here. I struggle to understand why everyone had to be thrown away because I made those mistakes. But hopefully that's something that will become clear with time. I don't think it was unreasonable that they didn't come to my wedding. Mel and I became intimate. I think my mom told both Mel and me some hard truths that Mel could not accept, which has caused a breakup in their relationship. I was never upset that my mom reached out to my brothers. I was upset that she told me she regretted her role in my life after they left. My biggest fear in reconciling is that my kids will suffer. People keep saying I'm using them as an excuse. Look at it from my point of view. I made a mistake, and my sons are a product of that. If I regret the mistake, I regret my kids. I don't think it's an illogical leap. This is why I'm seeking professional help to help me figure out where these lines are. I want to apologize to my brothers. I also want to apologize to my kids and my family. Again, it's not an excuse. Someone said I kept missing the forest for the trees. I think some of you are guilty of this too. My sons are tied into this because of my mistakes. They can't be separated from it. They are the product of Mel and me. I don't know how to offer my apologies while also saying that I'd do it again if I had my kids with me. They are my entire life. How do they not play into this? They are a constant reminder of my greatest achievement and the mistake I made with their mother. How is leaving them out of this not the same thing as missing the forest? Yes, I rebelled. I struggled to understand some of their decisions, but I am not in a position to judge. I fill in the gaps with what little I know. I should stop doing that. No. You guys keep telling me to stop making it about myself. How? I've had zero contact with the people I'm trying to fix this with. Do I assume their position and feelings in this? Should I have written this in their POV? Where would that leave me? How would taking any other position outside of my own point of view help anything? All I know is what I've done and what I see, and that is severely limited, sadly. That's all I have to offer. I wish I could present a different angle, but I have nothing else but what I offered here. How should I process what I did to Ezra? What language should I use? All I can do is keep doing therapy and posting here to learn a new way. I admit that this was my fault, but I don't need the extra blame. I'm not a narcissist. I'm not faking my remorse. My words are devoid of emotion. That's where I'm at right now. Extremely emotionally spent, seeing a therapist for the first time in over 30 years on this earth. I'm trying to fix this. I'm not a troll. This isn't fake. This isn't my idea of fun. Thank you very much for talking this out with me. I see that I am resistant to some of the things said here. I will screen cap your response and share it with my therapist in the hope that I can see where I'm going wrong here. Deleted. I think it's a really good thing that you're in therapy. You're taking the right steps. How old are your kids? As they get older, it would probably be wise to sit them down and have the conversation that A. You do not regret them at all, but B. The circumstances of how you and Mel got together were bad. It's completely reasonable that you would be afraid that your kids would think they're a mistake. That's why you have to approach them first to let them know cheating is wrong, but that they are blessings. I do feel for your mom. I think she's in a similar situation as you slightly if she reconciles with your brothers. She's admitting that she regrets siding with you, so she's really torn. You also feel torn between loving your family, sticking with your choices, and wanting to reconcile with your family. I recommend therapy for Mel too. She's not innocent in this, just as much as you. But as much as y'all F it up, you shouldn't be defined forever by your F up. You have lovely children, and Mel should work on her feelings and process her insecurities as well so you both can healthily move forward with your lives. Your stepmother and dad sounded a little sketchy. Were they actively trying to get you two together while she was with Ezra? The big problem I notice with people trying to make amends is passive voice. E.g., the difference between I made mistakes and mistakes were made. Much of your text was written like, the family was torn apart by cheating, as opposed to me and Mel cheating tore the family apart. When you write in passive voice, the focus on the sentence is what happened and not who caused this to happen, which comes off as you trying to minimize your role or responsibility over what happened. I would recommend working with your therapist to write a letter or email addressed to your brothers, to get your apologies and all your feelings out on paper. Then send it to them or give it to your mom to give to them. That way, you leave them with the opportunity to hear you out and hear your apology. It's not your decision whether you choose to even read it, but I think this is the only reasonable extension you can offer. Reddit has a hard time telling the difference between when we need to yell at someone versus show compassion. I don't think I really noticed anyone not yelling at you. Ida. Does Mel feel guilty about cheating on Ezra? From the post, it sounds as if the two had a distant relationship. OP. Thank you for continuing to respond to me with great advice. I'm currently flooded with PMs and messages on here, so it's taking me a while to cycle back. Sorry for the delay. Thank you. In my culture, therapy is not seen in a positive light. I chose to follow in my mother's footsteps because I see a change in her that I would also like for myself. It's not easy to admit that my morals simply aren't there. There's a lot I would like help with and to address with my therapist. My son was born 10 years ago. This will be the 11th year of estrangement this fall. My youngest is only 5. I do have plans to explain to my oldest what happened. He knows a bit about it, what a 10-year-old can handle. It's been difficult to make plans for how the full truth will be told because my wife and I don't agree that it should be told. My number one priority here, even over reconciliation, is to teach my kids to do better and to ensure that they don't do what I did to each other or anyone else. I'm still working on how to do that. I have all the love and respect for my mom. There is a pathology in my family that's unshakable. My grandfather cheated and left my grandmother. My dad did the same to my mom. And I did something similar to my brother. I would never dream of harming my mom more than I already have. At the same time, I still feel hurt by her regret for being with us during this time. I feel she is justified in her regret. But she also can't help but feel hurt. I hope that Mel will be open to therapy in the future. My dad didn't approve of Mel and me. Despite the nasty divorce, he reached out to my mom in an effort to stop us. We did stop for a while. When Ezra came back home, he found out about the mistakes I made and broke it off with Mel. That's when she and I started back up again. My dad's wife has always been a fan of Mel and me together. She has no regrets about her role in that, and Mel takes care of her. Both can't understand why I want to fix things with my brother. I suspect that Mel can't face what we did. I'm not perfect. I can't face it either, but I want to. I see. A lot of what people think they're pointing out to me seems very obvious, so the need to expand or explicitly say, I did the thing seems redundant. Of course, I am to blame. People have asked me if it took me this long to realize cheating was wrong. I'm confused by the question. Of course, it didn't take me this long. It's like living a lie. It's very possible to put your head down, go to work to provide for your family, come home, and spend the rest of your day with them. That's a bubble of safety most of us have. My everyday life doesn't involve rehashing what I did wrong. That doesn't mean that I'm oblivious to it. I put it behind me in order to be present for those who need me day in and day out. I wrote my post honestly. The jabs I took at Aaron stemmed from problems that existed before any of this happened. I didn't want to polish it and make it prettier than it was. It's ugly, and I wanted to be honest about it. But I will do a better job of making statements. I came into this already understanding, but I didn't consider that the ones I'm seeking help from don't know that about me. Thank you. I plan to ask her for advice on the letter. I don't want to put my mom in the middle of this again. So far, she's the only one who has been able to reconcile with Ezra, so I want to honor that and keep my efforts away from her. Mel wavers about how she feels a lot. Like I said before, we don't agree on much when it comes to Ez or what the kids should know. They were long distances at the time. Thank you again for your time and help. Second story. I caught my dad cheating and exposed him to my mom, which caused their divorce. My dad then married his affair partner, and his family welcomed her. She tried to play mommy with me. I snapped and told her to cut her wrist properly out of anger, and ran away to mom, who told me it's her fault for their divorce, and that I should respect my stepmom. English is not my first language. It's been approximately 2 years since my parents divorced due to my dad cheating. I was the one who discovered the cheating. I had to use my dad's computer for some time, because mine wasn't working anymore. I tried to use WhatsApp on the computer, but my dad also had WhatsApp, and I saw messages from a woman called Lily. These messages were very explicit messages, as texting and videos. I was very angry with my dad, and I still am. I showed the evidence to my sister Sarah 19 and my brother Jack 15, and we decided to confront dad about this with mom being present. To say that my mom was angry wouldn't be enough. Both my dad and mom started arguing and said very mean things to each other. The conversation ended with my dad being kicked out of the house and staying with my grandparents. The divorce was very messy, but unfortunately, my dad gained full custody of me, and my dad wins more than my mom. After he gained full custody, my mom entered into a depression. My sister was able to help her cope with the hard times, but she still struggles a lot. Since then, me and my brother have been living with him and Lily, and it's been hell on earth. They ask us to make family plans and do this and that, but my brother and I have been very clear about the situation. They haven't made us feel bad, but they won't stop trying. The thing is, my dad's family treats her so well that it enrages me a lot. They all know that Lily is an affair partner, and they don't give two Fs about it. They treat her like she isn't the one who interrupted our lives, but the woman to whom my dad has been married for 25 years. The boiling point was when we were having dinner at my grandparents' house. My uncles, my aunts, and my cousins were there. They were talking to her, and I and my brother were sitting in the corner of the room silently. Lily approached us and said that we should try to be more social because we don't get to see the whole family so often. I snapped in here. Me? Who the F do you think you are to tell us what we should or shouldn't do? Stay in your effing part of the room, and we will stay in ours. My brother tried to calm me down, but it was already too late. My dad started arguing with me and said that I shouldn't be mean to her, and that they know they messed up, but they are trying to do the best they can to sort out the situation. I told them that there is absolutely nothing that they can do to solve the situation because it is already messed up. My dad mentioned that he has been paying for mom's therapy for the last 6 months. True. because he feels guilty about what he did, and I told him that that wasn't enough. Lily made a stellar apparition and said that maybe I should go live with my mom instead. Right now, I think the next comment I made was a gentle arsehole move on my part. Me? Yeah? Well, maybe you should cut your effing wrists. Let's see if that works this time. Lily has scars on her wrists. She mentioned that she had an attempt when she was in her 30s. The room went silent, and I looked to my brother, and she made a gesture with the head. Not of disapproval, but of maybe that was too much. Lily went crying to the bathroom, and my dad followed her. My uncle said very calmly that that was an arsehole comment. Me, I know. That's why I did it. I don't care. F you. After that comment, I took my things and told them to tell my dad that I was staying at mom's. After that, my uncle, the one that I insulted, told me that he knows that I am hurt about my dad's cheating. But he still cares about us, and even Lily cares about us. I started feeling guilty about the comment I made, and my brother told me that he was angry at Lily, but he has a limit, and he thinks that I passed the line here. I haven't talked to my mom or sister about this. Update. It's been almost a month since I posted, and many things have happened. I went on a week-long trip with my friends, and we partied the whole week. I really needed some disconnection from reality. Now to the update. As many of you said, there was something I didn't know about my parents' divorce. My mom noticed that I was distant. She already suspected something when I appeared at her home in the middle of the night. I talked to her about what had happened to Lily, and she started crying. She said that I shouldn't say that because it was her fault that my dad and she divorced. I didn't understand what she was saying. Why is it my mom's fault if the one who cheated was my father? She said that around 3 years before the pandemic, she started fooling around with weed to cope with anxiety. She talked about this with my dad, and he said that she should be careful and not enter a spiral, and she said that he shouldn't worry. My mom couldn't control herself and started using more strong drugs, which I will not mention here. My dad tried to help my mom, but she insisted that everything was under control. My mom says that this was the time that my dad and she started distancing themselves. When the pandemic began, my mom began to be more anxious because she couldn't get any drugs. My siblings and I thought that it was just anxiety. My dad was very absent during the pandemic because he worked at a company with a lot of responsibility at that time. My mom usually went out to find drugs and then came back several hours later, more calm. I think it was at this time that my dad had enough and started the affair with Lily. After the affair was uncovered, my dad decided not to disclose my mom's drug problems to us, and that he would not take full custody unless my mom was able to maintain herself sober during the whole process of divorce. My mom agreed. My dad made her weekly tests to see if she was maintaining herself sober, and one of the tests came up positive one time. My dad decided to go into full custody with us, and my mom couldn't let that happen, so she tried to go into full custody. But with all the proof my dad had, the judge gave him full custody. It was at this moment that mom's depression started to hit hard. She had lost custody of her kids because of her drug problems. She said that I shouldn't be angry at Dad or Lily because she is the one who messed up the first time, and neither Dad nor Lily are responsible for her bad actions. I cried during the whole speech, and after my mom finished, I hugged her and stayed like that for some minutes. I told her that I didn't want to be angry anymore, and that I would like to accept the therapy both my dad and mom offered. After that, I went to my dad's home, and as soon as I entered, I went to hug my dad and tell him that I knew everything. He just stayed silent and hugged me back. I went to find Lily and told her how sorry I was for the comment. I knew about my mom's problems and that I shouldn't blame her for everything. We both hugged, and she told me that she forgives me for the comment and that she hopes that we can build a relationship for no one. I mentioned to them that although my mom messed up, it is still no excuse for cheating, and that I'm still angry for that. I told them that I was going to accept the therapy they offered, and after that, I went home. That's the update. I don't think I will make more updates, but who knows what could happen. I have my dad's house all to myself for the next week, so I'm really excited for the next week. Third story. OP enjoyed the thrill of being in a relationship with a girl who already had a boyfriend, blindsided her while she was fooling her boyfriend, and is now having a meltdown, saying that she is toxic and left him and regrets breaking up with his past girlfriends. Hold your horses, guys. This is a long one. I think this girl is a classic example of disorganized attachment. Either that or a complete narcissist. I need to let this out for the sake of cathartism. I've held it in for too long. 11 years, to be precise. Let me tell you a tale of a guy who's probably hitting a world record for being strung along. I shouldn't have allowed this to happen. Outside of what our relationship has been, I consider myself a high-value guy. I never have trouble getting into a relationship with someone I want. Apart from her. I know this is all from my perspective, but seriously, it's all her fault. I tried to give her my heart, and when I returned, she spat on my soul. Let's call her Sam. The funny story about that is that I'm also called Sam. We had a good laugh about that when we first met. The irony of us having the same name has never been lost on us. However, I need to go back to before we met for you to fully understand the story. I broke up with an ex in 2010. Steph was great. Just a little mad. I was young then and regretted breaking up with her. By the time I realized this, she was in another relationship. I had trouble being single afterwards. My confidence was shattered, and I was doing a lot of drugs at the time. A member of the family committed self-harm. I was also going through one of the worst pain conditions you can have. I had an operation to sort out this pain condition and nearly died. Shortly after, another family member was diagnosed with cancer and was dying in the hospital. Both of these family members were extremely close to me. What I'm trying to say with all of this is that I was at my lowest point. I started a job in July 2013. This is where I met Sam. I was instantly attracted to her, and we hit it off immediately. I soon found out she had a boyfriend of 5 years. I was understandably gutted, but I thought, fair enough, she's off limits. Then, one day after work, she got one of our colleagues to ask me out after work for her. We were in our 20s, not children, so this was odd. I liked her enough to see past this first of many, many red flags. As you'll see, this is a continuing trend of me thinking with my heart instead of my head. I met Sam after work. We talked about the way we felt about each other. She told me she wanted to speak to me because she still wanted to see if she loved her boyfriend. Yeah, massive red flag. I heard a brilliant quote from BoJack Horseman on this. Lisa Kudrow's character Wanda says, "When you're wearing rose-tinted glasses, red flags just look like flags." I was leaving that job to go back to university. There was work left to do for me. We kissed that day, in front of everyone. No one knew her boyfriend, though, and she didn't confess to him. I left the next day. I was heartbroken. A few weeks later, she came to visit me at the university, while she was still in a relationship. Again, she started to lead me on. We kissed again. I never got anything more than a kiss. I'm an idiot, I know. Soon after, I dropped out of university for a number of reasons. But I'd be lying if I told you she wasn't one of them. So I could be closer to her? I know, pathetic. We kept meeting soon after, going for drinks with each other. Kissing only ever kissing. Meeting in parks and eating each other's faces like teenagers. I knew I was being led on, but she was extremely attractive and charismatic. I just want to reiterate that she still had a boyfriend and was actively cheating without him knowing a thing. I saw her on several occasions taking calls from him and telling him she was somewhere else. Why did I have 1 ounce of trust in this girl? Not long after, I discovered this boyfriend of hers was abusive. And this is why she couldn't leave. I have no idea if this is true or not. For all I know, I was one of many guys she was cheating on him with. This all continues for the next few years until late 2015. We went out of contact several times during this time. We both ended up pulling each other back in at various times. I was single during this entire period and did sleep with other girls. I had a few FWB situations, but I could never commit because she had me on the hook. I told her I loved her in late 2015. It took her some time to say she did as well. For all I know, she'd just say anything to keep me on the hook. We were still meeting, but it was way more occasional now than at the beginning. It was once every several months now. February 2016, and she's convinced me she's leaving her boyfriend for me. She changed. I felt like I'd finally broken through after 2.5 years. We were saying sweet things to each other every morning and evening, like, "I love you," etc. I felt like things were finally going to work out. Then she went dark on me for, like, a week. Nothing. When she talked to me again, she told me she was getting back with her boyfriend. I was destroyed by this. She messed me up so much. I broke and sent her boyfriend a load of screenshots of our conversations. Some are sexual, and some are loving, involving a lot of feelings. I basically destroyed her life by doing that, and I was absolutely consumed by guilt. I've still never forgiven myself. There are a lot of ways. I suppose she destroyed her own life. I just told the truth. Was this the end? Not even close, I'm afraid to say. We stopped talking for a few months. I was heartbroken. She came back. It carried on. She had me so around her finger that she convinced me to talk to her boyfriend to say it wasn't as bad as I'd made out. Why the hell did I comply? After all that, it still continued between us for months afterwards, well into summer 2016. She left me a voicemail crying, saying her boyfriend found out we were still in contact and to stop contacting her. I was just sick of her SHT at this point, and I did what I should have done a long time ago and blocked her on everything. Soon after, I found someone else. On reflection, this was a massive mistake, and I should have stayed single to process the trauma. For all I've criticized about Sam, at least when she was eventually single, she had the sense not to date again for a long time. I dated this new girl, let's call her Emma, for 3 years. We moved in together. After a while, things started to work out in the relationship. I was drunk one night and unblocked Sam and messaged her on Facebook. She told me she'd recently broken up with her boyfriend and wanted to meet me. I was still in a relationship. I'm a terrible person. I met her. We didn't do anything, but we talked about everything that went on between us. This basically resulted in her lying on me and me barely getting a word in about the way I felt. She also did weird stuff like acting sexual and clearly trying to act seductively. I left, and I felt terrible about it. I broke up with Emma that night. I felt terrible about my actions and knew that relationship was no longer working. Sam messaged me a few days later and said she was annoyed that I met her while I had a girlfriend. Things could have been different if I was single. I told her I had broken up with Emma. Sam proceeded to tell me that she didn't want anything and just wanted to move on with her life. Was this the end? Oh God, no, I'm truly a moron. So this all happened in the summer of 2019. I met another girl soon after this. Again, I realize I made a mistake by doing this. I have never given myself time to process it all and let her go. I've used other girls to bury the trauma, even if I did genuinely fall in love with these girls. So this is my current girlfriend, Amy. Amy really is a lovely person to her core, and I don't deserve her. I did not block Sam after the previous altercation, and I should have. The first time she contacted me was in October 2020, weirdly, on the anniversary of Amy and myself. She told me she had a dream about me, and it reminded her of me. I ignored Sam. Sam contacted me again in March 2021. She sent a drunken video saying I'd never forget her, because we shared the same name. I ignored her again. Then she contacted me for Christmas 2022. I caved this time and messaged back. I was courteous and told her I had a girlfriend, and she said she was happy that I had what I wanted now. I cut things off. She contacted me again. Christmas 2023. She told me she's now a singer in a nearby city and a digital nomad. On reflection, she was trying to make me jealous of her great new life. Things were not so great between me and Amy, and I got sucked in. She told me she was jamming a lot with this local artist. On reflection, I feel like they were effing, and he was messing her around. She contacted me to use me, as she always does. She got it out of me that I still had feelings. She denied she still had them for me despite contacting me at least once a year since we last met. She said she missed me, but just wanted to be friends. She went dark with me over Christmas shortly after, probably back with Mr. Artist. She contacted me again in January. She starts doing weird SHT, like taking 2 weeks to reply to messages, and behaves extremely flippant about my emotions with everything, while also hinting that she still has feelings. I put my foot down over it, and she blocked me. I understand that this was cheating on Amy, and I'm a terrible person for doing this. At least I had the sense not to meet Sam. I wish I could tell you it ended there, but I just allow myself to be used by this girl, and she gets in my head like no one else. I sent her a letter a few months ago, basically detailing everything she had done to me and demanding an apology. I understand that this may have freaked her out, and I may have come across as some kind of stalker. I've just been so damaged by it that I needed closure. I did admit to some feelings in there too. I shouldn't have any complaints about the way she has treated me. Again, this was cheating, and I'm a terrible person. There was no reply to the letter. Stupid me, I just won't get the message. I messaged her again last week, saying I wanted to speak to her on the phone to go through everything together. She found my brother's business page, called him, and told him that I needed to stop contacting her. It felt like a huge violation of boundaries. Maybe I did come across as a stalker. I didn't say anything particularly bad. I just found it insane that when she keeps getting in touch with me, it's fine. When I keep trying to get in touch with her, it's off limits. Anyway, this is all my own fault. I'm an idiot. I fell into this ridiculous high school drama for nothing. I've never gotten anything out of my relationship with Sam other than hurt. I've hurt relationships I've had with other women over her. I've spoken a lot to my therapist about this, And I think I actually have victim trauma over the whole thing, which is why I keep going back. That doesn't justify the hurt I have done to my relationships. And I'm a piece of SHT by going back and not having the balls to be direct with my girlfriends and tell them that there are difficulties in our relationship. I have not been a man. I have been a child. I think I have serious issues and damage to work through. I've destroyed another really good relationship with another great person. Amy over this toxic, evil person Sam. She will never have relationships as good as I have, because she is incapable of being vulnerable enough with someone to love them fully with all of her heart. I understood that if I ever got with Sam, things would definitely fall apart shortly after the honeymoon period, and I'm sure she'd just cheat on me. I believe she laid a trap for me, and I ate the bait. I'm a fool. I think I need some time alone to process all the damage I've done to myself. All the damage I've done to other women over this girl. The idea of it is giving me panic attacks. I think this is probably an indication that I need to go through this. I need to let go of Sam. I can't damage another woman over her. I need to be in a place where if Sam came back, begging on her hands and knees, telling me she loves me, and she's made nothing but mistakes with me, I could just confidently walk away. I nearly took another job all the way back in 2013. I took that job and never met Sam. She has systematically ruined my life, and I've never gotten anything out of it. I've been strung along and used for 11 years. She's probably F-ed, guys. She's known them for less than 11 hours. It was never about the SX for me anyway, despite it making me insanely jealous. I guess I did genuinely love her at one point, however messed up that is. And there's a part of me that never lets go of that love. And that's why I keep coming back. I need to let go. I just feel like I don't know how to. I have a lot of work to do with my therapist. It was a weird thing to drop at the end, but I was sawed as a kid by a relative of a similar age to me. I have wondered if self-esteem issues, etc., caused by this have allowed someone like Sam to tap into that vulnerable child in me who always thinks he's never good enough. Anyway, for anyone who's bothered to actually read this to the end, thank you. I know this is a lot of drama, and I know I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I just needed to get this off my chest. I think I need a good, long cry now. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.